to make sure that everyone starts on an even playing field, we're going to go over solving by some simple square roots, things that we've talked about in class that we just want to make sure that everyone fully understands before moving on to Unit 10, Day 2. So remember that when we're solving by square roots, there are two values that multiply to themselves to get 81. We take the square root. So h can either equal 9, but remember 9 times 9 equals 81. What else times itself equals 81? Negative 9, because negative 9 times negative 9 equals 81. So thinking about that, what does r equal? 5 and negative 5. Okay. So we just want to make sure that everyone understands that when you take a square root of a number, a positive number, there are two possible solutions. Now how do we get k by itself over here? So we're adding another step. Got to add 36 to both sides, so we get k squared equals 36. Square root both sides. K equals 6 and negative 6. Adding 35 to both sides. K squared equals 64. Square root both sides. K equals 8 and negative 8. So this should feel like review. You should have already talked about this at some point, but we just want to make sure everyone is fully aware that you have two possible answers if you are dealing with a positive number. Now, not every equation is going to have two solutions, because for instance, if I subtract 9 from both sides, w squared equals 0. Take the square root, well, what number times itself gives you 0? 0. So in this case, there's only one solution. Okay. Or if we have something like this that says, oh, I'm going to take the square root. Okay, we've talked about this in class. Can you have the square root of a negative number? No, because a positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. So how would we have something that multiplies to itself to give me a negative number? We can't. So there are no real solutions. Okay. Now, if we look at this here, y squared equals 20. Don't say it. Some of you are thinking 10, but it's not 10. That would be if that said 100, the square root would be 10. But in this case, we take the square root of both sides. Now, does this have a solution? Yes, because 20 is a positive number. So y equals the positive and negative square root of 20, which means we have two solutions. Okay. Now remember, simplifying, there is a perfect square that is a factor of 20, which is 4. Four times 5 is 20. So y equals plus or minus 2 square root 5. Okay. How about this one? How many solutions does that have? It says plus 60, but remember, to get q by itself, we'd have to subtract 60. Negative minus more negative. Can't take the square root of that, so no solutions. Okay. So we're solving for w, so we're trying to isolate w. Add 38 to both sides. Divide by 9. We get w squared equals 9. So that's it, right? No, we still have to do the square root. So w equals plus or minus 3. What about over here? We divide by 63. 7 and 63 aren't square numbers, but I can simplify by 7. Taking the square root. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 9 is 3. So x equals plus or minus 1/3. So this should be similar, except we're ending up not having a fraction. M squared equals 4. So square root both sides. M equals positive and negative 2. You see something like this, we know that there can only be one value as my answer. To get x by itself here, gotta divide by 3. X squared equals a negative number, so there are no solutions. Add 5 to both sides. 20x squared equals 5. Divide by 20. X squared equals, simplify, 1/4. Take the square root. X equals plus or minus, the square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2. So x equals positive 1/2 and negative 1/2. Similar, but the number may not look as familiar to you. Taking the square root. X equals plus or minus 1/11. Okay, so basically that is the very straightforward, easy solving by square roots. So I want you to go on IXL BB6 and I want you to make sure that you're understanding these two things. How many solutions and how to find them. And that there's a positive and negative solution at this point.